it's Rob here and welcome to the first of my build videos of my new Tamiya Fighter NXGEN 1/10 rear wheel drive off-road buggy. And we're going to get straight into parts bag A, which is steps 1 to 16. However, step 1 is just plugging the battery in, so we'll forget that and we'll jump on to step 2, the differential gear. Now, I've done loads of these on videos before, so what I'll basically do for you now is just quickly put it together, dry, and then do all the greasing up afterwards. So we've got a bevel gear, then we've got 3 planetary gears, as I call them, that go on this, what do they call it? Star shaft. You know what? That goes on there like that. That goes in there like that. That one goes on top, that way round. Then we put the cover on like that and screw it down with these 2.6 by 10mm screws. So I'll crack on and do that and come back to you once I've finished it. Okay, so that's what it should look like once you've put it together. And with that we can move on to step 3, attaching the counter gear. Again, we're going to do this dry fitting and then I'll grease it up off camera. However, I won't be greasing as much as it says because, as usual, I'm upgrading to bull bearings or bull races, and they simply slot in there, I believe. And then we get this and we get the 5 by 45mm shaft, as they're calling it. There we go. And that simply slips in there. And we should then be able to move on to step 4. So I'll get the bits ready and be back with you shortly. Step 4 is assembling the gearbox, and we need the diff. Oh, I nearly forgot. We need to pop a bearing in there first, which is quite a tight fit, and then the diff, and another bearing in there, not so tight to fit, and then that just goes together like so. And then we got this part here, which I'm assuming is part of the roll cage, etc. And that goes in like so. And then we got these 2 15mm that go through there and there, and then 10mm there. And where does the other one go? I'm assuming the other one goes there. So we'll get them screwed up and move on to step 5. Step 5 and 6 are prepping the motor and spur gear and then installing them. So I've already done the prep bit by fitting the motor plate and installing the bearings and the shaft, so we can go straight on to installing them. Now for this, the spur gear goes in like so. There we go. And then the motor, you probably won't be able to see, but there are numbers on here depending on what type of pinion gear you've got or size. and it comes with a 17 tooth, so I'm going to mount it in the 17 tooth bit if I can get hold of everything, which is easier said than done. Oh Rob, fast forward this bit. Yeah, no. And there we go. Tighten them up good and tight. And then it's just a case of putting the pinion gear in, and you do it the opposite way round to normal, shall we say. And it's showing you to line the gear up with the spur gear. There, that'll do. And we'll tweak that up. And that's it for step 6. And step 7 is just screwing the gear cover on, and again it should just go on like that with 3 10mm screws, 1, 2 and 3. So we'll finish that off and then we can move on. Okay, so steps 8 and 9 are installing the upper and lower wishbones, or A-arms, or as Tamiya call them, just arms. And we need to use these screw pins, as they call them. This one's 46mm for the lower ones and 32mm. We also at this point need to install the output cups. So there we go, just a simple slot in, and you need to check the orientation. So I think it goes like that. If it's like the other side, and then for some reason the screw pin goes in from that direction for that one, and then on the upper arms it goes like that, and the screw pin goes through like so. Now these screw pins, although this is the stiffer plastic, don't tighten these up too tight because they strip easily. However, if you don't tighten them quite tight enough, they do have a tendency to unscrew themselves. So I'll finish those up and we can move on to 10. Step 10 is attaching the rear axles. Now, I found a slight issue here in that, I hope you'll be able to see this, but there's a lot of slop in this bottom mount. So what I've managed to do is, if we take that off, I probably won't be able to do it on camera, but I've got a 3mm or an M3 washer, and we pop it on. It says, there we go, like so. And then we get the axle cup, and then we gently move that back till we can just about get it in, and then do some wiggling and straight in for a change. And we'll tighten that up in a bit, and then we can pop it round. We can pop the axle through. We've already put a ball race in there ready, so we can do that. We then need the dog bone and the output cup that had fallen out while I was doing the other side. Mount that, and then we've got another screw pin and if you look, the screw pin goes through the outer hole, and then we just need to screw that up as well. So that's step 10 done. Step 11 is making up the rear bulkhead and installing it onto the gearbox. So it's quite an easy process. We've got 4 12mm M3 self tappers and 4 10mm ones, and by the looks of this you need to check the orientation as usual, and I don't think you can really get it wrong because the bits that need to screw together slot into little holes, and then you use the 12mm to go in there. And there. And then for this bottom piece M4, you need to not drop it. Marry it up with these 2 bits here. Easier said than done. Yep, there we go. And spin it round. And then I believe it's yeah, these 2 holes here, 1 and 2, and then once you've done that and tightened them up, you can grab the gearbox, and I believe it just goes on like so, and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 screws to hold that on. So I'll crack on with that and show you the outcome. Okay, so there we have the rear bulkhead firmly attached, ready to move on to the shocks. Now I've done loads and loads and loads of these making up of shocks, so don't think I'm going to show it. I think I'm just going to build the 2 up and show you the outcome once I've done it. So I'll be back in a while. Crocodile. Well, we're on to step 15, which is I think almost the end of parts bag A. So this is attaching the rear shocks. So we've got what do they call it anything? No. So we've got the damper stays here, and we need to install a couple of ball joints. Now the kit comes with this, and I believe that one fits there, but hey, I've got a posh nut spinner, so it goes on the end hole like that. I won't do it all up, and there is a note to say note direction, and the direction is on the one side we've got a couple of sticky out bits, so the ball joints go on that side, and then once we've done that, that can be mounted to the gearbox somewhere there, like that. And then shocks, simply click on there, and then down here we've got a step screw and a spacer. So I'll crack on with them. Okay, so here's the shocks mounted. Not too bad, quite a bit of damping I think, and we've got all these adjusters here, or clips, to adjust the preload, so we can sort that out once it's all built and we see how we go. So we're moving swiftly on to the last step of this video, and it's mounting part of the roll cage. And for this we've got parts F10, we've got two 12mm self tappers, two 10mm self tappers and two M3 washers, and basically the washers go on the 12mm. And we need to turn this round, and basically I believe it goes something like so. Yeah, so what we need is the 12mm go in the top here, 1, 2, and the 10mm go from underneath into these holes here. So we'll do that and get back to you ASAP. Okay, so that looks quite large. I don't know why, but yeah, it seems larger than other Tamiya kits. But anyway, there we go. That's the rear drivetrain, gearbox and roll cage all installed and made up. So this is the end of parts bag A. So I hope you enjoyed watching, and look forward to seeing you for parts bag B. Cheers, bye.